everyone. I am Nancy Naji. I am Nancy Naji. I am Nancy Naji. Welcome to our segment, Hello Money. Today we'll be talking about the payday. You have to be street smart. We all know this year. No grief for anybody is our 2024 tagline. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us this morning. It's a wet morning, a rainy and a wet morning here in Abuja. So we've really entered rainy season. So when you're going out, you should just have umbrellas in your car, or even if not, have small umbrella, put that for your bag because you don't know when rain first starts, at least for those of us in Abuja. How is Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, or wherever you're watching us from? This is Moneyline with Nancy. I am Nancy Naji, so welcome to the program. Today on the program, we will be zeroing in on the state of Nigeria's refineries. Just a few days ago, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, as well as the GCEO of the NNPC Limited, did mention that the Port Harcourt refinery will start production will resume production next month, and from August till December, we'll have another refinery, Kaduna refinery, join the fray. But the issue is that this has been long waiting. For as long as I know that I have been in this beat, we've been talking about the state of Nigeria's refinery. In fact, in the last parliament, there was a committee that was set up for the state of Nigeria's refinery. And I think that committee was headed by Honorable Ganiyu Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. They came up with a report at that time, that was last year, to tell us that $25 billion have been utilized to fix Nigeria's refineries. As at that time, with an exchange rate of around 400 naira or so to the dollar, or a little bit more than that, if we convert that $25 billion to naira, we're getting about 11 to 12 trillion naira. So if we've expended these humongous amounts of monies on rehabilitating, or is it turnaround maintenance, or whatever the technical word is, the 4 refineries in the country aren't working. The 4 refineries in Port Harcourt, Warri, as well as Kaduna. You know that there are 2 refineries in Port Harcourt, the old one and the new one. There's a 60,000 barrels refining capacity. There's also 150,000 barrels refining capacity in Port Harcourt. The others, 110 and 125. That's Kaduna and Warri. So why are we not refining, even though we have 445,000 combined plate capacity? That one is for paper. Meanwhile, a private sector player, Dangote Refinery, has finished. He says that very soon we will start production also. Don't also forget that also last year we were back and forth, or even early this year, back and forth. Okay, then go give Dangote crude. No, they're not going to give and crude. In fact, in the last 1 month or so, very unlike him. I know Aliko Dangote, that is when he goes abroad that he speaks. You see him at different fora. But he's been speaking to Nigerian media at least in the last 2 weeks. Senior journalists here and there, wherever he is, he would use that opportunity to speak. At a time, he said that the federal government, that the NUPRC, is not giving him crude. The IOCs are frustrating. But the news that I also have now is that that issue has been resolved. For Africa's richest man and Nigeria's richest man to speak, and the president of Dangote Group to come out and say, I have this $20 billion worth refinery and it's still not working because of the encumbrances, that the oil industry is a cartel. He said that, I think, in the Bahamas at the Afro-Exim AGM meeting that he was. I watched that. So you're seeing that if this industry is such a cartel, and Nigeria has spent about $25 billion in fixing our refineries in about 13 years, from 2010 to 2023. And former President Olusegun Obasanjo said at the time that Nigeria's refineries will not work. You know why? Because he said that until it gets into private hands. But the issue is that must our refineries be given to private sector players until they work? How about the other examples abroad, overseas, the Saudi Arabias, the Brazils, the Malaysias, and all of that? It's just things just fall apart in Nigeria, and we'll just say, hey, Nigeria is just a peculiar country. What's peculiar about us? Not doing something right. When everybody's doing something right, we're doing something left. Then at the end of the day, we'll now say, you know, we're just a special breed of people. Anyway, but those are the issues that I'll be looking at today, the state of Nigeria's refineries. My guest will be joining me shortly, but let's get started with what's in the news. The International Monetary Fund has revised down its projection for Nigeria's economic growth this year to 3.1%, citing lower than expected growth in the first quarter of this year. And this adjustment was disclosed in the July 2024 World Economic Outlook released by the IMF yesterday. The new forecast marks a reduction from the previous estimate of 3.3%. The downgrade was influenced by Nigeria's weaker than expected GDP and growth recorded in the Q1 of 2023. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, chaired the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee meeting in Abuja, has distributed a total of 1.35 trillion naira in June revenue among the federal government, states and local government. According to the communique, the federal government received 459.7 billion naira. States got 461.9 billion naira, while local government received 337 billion naira. Also distributed, the distribution also included 142.51 billion naira from statutory revenue, 523.9 billion naira from value-added tax revenue, 15.6 billion naira from electronic money transfer levy. I hope you know that money. Those money is when you transfer money. So the 3 tiers of government got about 15.69 billion naira from that, then 472.19 billion naira from exchange difference revenue, and an augmentation of 200 billion naira. The World Bank has released $751.8 million to Nigeria as part of the newly approved $1.5 billion loan under the Nigeria Reforms for Economic Stabilization to Enable Transformation, that's Research and Development Policy Financing Program, DPF. This disbursement is a component of the larger $2.25 billion package approved by the World Bank on June 13, 2024, aimed at supporting reforms and development initiatives. The National Council on Nutrition has endorsed new measures to address malnutrition and food insecurity in Nigeria, aligning with the current administration's goals to enhance the nutritional well-being of Nigerians. Speaking at a meeting held at the Presidential Villa in Abuja on Tuesday, Vice President Kashim Shettima, chairman of the council, emphasized the need for active engagement from all stakeholders, including ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as development partners, stating that the step is to underscore President Bola Tinubu's steadfast determination to improve the nutritional status of all Nigerians. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has announced that sanctions will be imposed on any agency or director in the power sector failing to meet corporate expectations. This warning was issued as performance contracts were signed with various agencies, stating that payments would be bound to specific performance metrics or outcomes, ensuring the contractors are compensated based on their actual performance. The federal government, through the National African Continental Free Trade Area Coordination Office, announced on Tuesday that within the next few days, 10 Nigerian companies will commence exporting various locally made products to countries across East, Central, and North Africa. The coordinator of the National After Coordination Office, Olusegun Awolowo, revealed this during an event in Lagos, marking the implementation of Nigeria's inaugural shipment under the Guided Trade Initiative Network. Over to the apex regulating body of the insurance industry, NICOM, that is the National Insurance Commission, has recently launched the NICOM compliant management portal to enhance its ability to swiftly address and resolve complaints related to insurance matters. According to a statement released by the Commission, the portal was developed as part of efforts to strengthen regulatory oversight of the industry, aligning with President Tinubu's vision of achieving a 1 trillion naira economy, $1 trillion actually economy. And this platform provides a simplified and accessible revenue for handling all insurance-related issues. The federal government's economic transformation initiatives have empowered the authority to expand its reach, leading to the establishment of 42 free zones nationwide, driving economic progress and prosperity. The Technical Committee on Business Roundtable Stakeholders Forum on Free Trade Zones and Special Economic Zones held a press conference titled "A Business Roundtable on Diversification of the Economy Through Free Zones and Special Economic Zones in Nigeria." Dr. Mutalab, Chairman, Technical Committee, communicated his hope for laudable proposals at the end of the meeting, which would be of assistance to the officials of the ministry in order to put them in a better position to discharge their responsibilities.
And of course, this is also to be spread all over these 6 geopolitical zones. It's not just in one. Of course, it has to be in the oil-producing areas. We're hoping that the top echelons of the ministry will link us up with the operators, the people in the ministry who are responsible for these various schedules, so that they can attend to some of the questions raised, what people are doing right and what people are doing wrong, so that all these issues will be addressed.
Time has come for Africa to engage in serious conversation aimed at finding answers for its problems.
My brothers and sisters, I firmly believe this mutually beneficial friendship will benefit from opportunities created by the African Economic Congress platform. And this is the reason we need to deepen democracy in Africa and empower citizens and civil society organizations.
Odeogu, Assistant General Manager, Nigerian Economic Zones Association, mentioned that the core responsibility is to ensure that special economic zones work. She also mentioned the increasing number of stakeholders who are showing interest in the progress and success of the scheme.
Responsibilities from this and take home is that we have to make sure that the special economic zones work. And now we have even more collaborators, more stakeholders that are showing interest in the progress and success of the scheme. So the roundtable is one of the strategies now that will be used by the ministry to gather all stakeholders, including private and public sector players, to ensure that the scheme is functional and highly successful.
With the story, Morgan Mahi, Assistant General Manager, Oil and Gas Free Zones Authority, expressed gratitude to the President for approval for the establishment of new zones that are focusing only on production, manufacturing, and industrialization. Gabriel Adofiuku, representative of New Waves Ecosystems Nigeria, also declared that they are looking at a system where Nigeria will cease to export primary products, but rather products whose immediate end users are abroad.
I'm very grateful that the President has approved the establishment of new zones that are focused not only on production, manufacturing, and industrialization, like the recent ones approved for Orashi in Imo State,
We are looking at a system where Nigeria will cease to be an exporter of primary products, but an exporter of products that the immediate end users will be abroad. And what that translates in economics to mean is generating employment for our people and maximizing the use of our resources.
All right, let's quickly take a break. When we return, I'll be taking you through the markets. We'll do just a quick checkup of where we ended yesterday and where global markets are currently. All that will be after the break, but don't forget to connect with us as always on all our various social media platforms. We'll be right back. This is Moneyline with Nancy. I am Nancy Naj. Does that mean that when there's a new government, the people managing perhaps the economy or any sector should now be agitated that there's a new sheriff in town and all of us will be asked to go?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. Great question, by the way.
It's a great question, Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nancy. It's a good question.
The school does not teach us about money, and this is Moneyline. So we are the one that teaches people what financial education really is.
A lot of things that we need to address in this country, and one of those things definitely is corruption.
Let me start by commending you for what you've been doing for years. As I said, I've been following your show for almost 10 years now.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to help me to come to this great program.
You be the best you can be, and be the change that you want to see. All right, welcome back. Let's begin with our local markets as investors on the local bourse enjoyed another favorable session on Tuesday as the bullish momentum persisted, propelling the benchmark all-share index to rise by about 11 basis points to 100,075.59 points. The year-to-date performance settled at 33.84% in yesterday's session. And if we take a look at the money markets, market liquidity in the market opened 771.49 billion naira short. Despite this, we saw that the open buyback rate and the overnight rates decreased by about 7 basis points and 6 basis points to settle at 31.40% and 32.13% respectively. If we move over to the Treasury bills market, it traded calmly, while the FGN local bond market maintained a quiet trend on Tuesday. The Eurobond market experienced a bearish session as investors engaged in profit-taking activities. If we move over to United States, data released showed that United States retail sales for June remained flat. And consequently, the average benchmark yield rose by 4 basis points to 9.60% day on day. For the value of the naira, it's appreciated 4 basis points against the dollar yesterday, closing at 1,576 naira 66 kobo at the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market window. That's NAFEM. All right, let's move over to the United States now. Dow futures are expected to rise this Wednesday after the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the stock index, posted its best day since June 2023. And for European markets, we saw them falling today as UK inflation held steady at 2%. So people in the UK are buying groceries at their very lowest prices and now that they haven't seen in a while. So UK inflation held steady at 2% on an annual basis last month. For Asian Pacific markets, we saw some kind of mixed sentiments, with Australia hitting a fresh all-time high and suspected yen intervention. Yeah, so that's actually moved the Asian folks. So that's actually what made us see mixed sentiments in the Asian markets. Let's talk about commodities now. All prices remain steady in early Asian trade today, with global benchmark Brent hovering near a one-month low it hit in the previous session. And this came as signs of weakening demand growth in China, clashed with the prospect of declining U.S. oil stockpiles. For gold, let's see commodities, guys. For gold, we saw the yellow metal extending gains, hitting a new record on optimism about a potential Federal Reserve rate cuts. So you can see that gold is trading around 2,475 US dollars, 61 cents an ounce. Silver is doing about $30.99 there. Steel is trading, this amount is 3,253 Chinese yuan. We're taking a look at iron ore at 109 US dollars. Let's see the next page. Agricultural commodities, palm oil, wheat, cocoa. The news that we also got yesterday is that the federal government aims to take a look at 500,000 tons of cocoa production by 2025. Cocoa, of course, we see that other countries are better, other African countries are better than us in terms of cocoa production, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire and co. You know, sugar, $19.35. All right, let's see. Do we have another page? Oh, that's all. Okay, that's all. So you've taken a look at commodities and seen how the prices are faring this morning. But of course, the markets move up and down. They oscillate. So this, as you see, the intraday prices just before we came into the studio. All right, let's quickly take a break. And when we come back, it will be time for us to begin our conversation. Like I mentioned earlier, despite being Africa's leading oil producer, Nigeria definitely faces numerous challenges in harnessing its natural resources effectively, unlike other OPEC members such as Saudi Arabia. And one of the major issues is the country's long-standing struggle to refine its crude oil domestically. The depth of this problem is very significant, as we could see. Like I mentioned earlier, the House of Representatives had a committee on the state of refineries in the country, that is in the 9th Assembly, reported that the federal government spent over 11 trillion naira as a den on refineries rehabilitation from 2010 to 2023. However, the report led by Ganiyu Johnson, which I mentioned earlier in the 9th National Assembly, did not lead to any substantial changes. Nigeria owns 4 refineries, 2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri and 1 in Kaduna, but they have remained largely non-functional despite turnaround maintenance efforts. Last year, the Nigerian government announced the mechanical completion and flare start-off of the country's largest refinery, that's the Port Harcourt one. The NNPC Limited confirmed that the Port Harcourt refinery will begin refining crude oil by early August. Mele Kyari, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, addressing an emergency session at the National Assembly Joint Committee on Finance, stated that the Kaduna refinery is also expected to commence operations by December of this year. Kyari, who had previously announced the production start date in March 2024 for the Port Harcourt refinery, reaffirmed the new August date, insisting on its accuracy. So with the upcoming, with what has just happened now with Dangote refinery, Kyari also expressed optimism that Nigeria would achieve a production target of 2 million barrels per day and become a net exporter of petroleum products by December. Will these developments finally resolve the long-standing issues with Nigeria's refineries? How much confidence should we have? How much value will Dangote refinery add? These and other issues will be explored with my guests after the break as we discuss the state of Nigeria's refineries. Do join us again. All right, welcome back to the program. My guest is seated. He is Engineer Barry Simonets, Chief Executive Officer at Crosstream Group. We're looking at the state of Nigeria's refineries. Good morning to you, Engineer, and welcome to the program.
Thank you, and good morning to Nigerians.
Now, let's get started because we have a lot to discuss. Mele Kyari's statement. Mele Kyari, that's the GCEO of NNPC Limited statement just a few days ago, as well as a statement by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources on the Port Harcourt and Kaduna refineries, which I mentioned earlier on, being ready between August to December. How confident should we be? And I must also situate it around what the GCEO said, that we are not lying to Nigerians.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, at least in the country for today, the two authorities that will discuss effectively the state of our refineries are the Minister of State you mentioned, and then the G Group Executive Managing Director of the NNPC Limited. So they have information. They are the one who are directly involved in the processes that will lead to the refineries coming back on stream. Having said that, I'm sure Nigerians are worried because of previous promises and deadlines they were given on these things coming on stream, and yet they haven't seen that. And my own opinion is this, very simple. The evaluation of the readiness of the refineries is not a product of a policy statement. It's action position. Are there tankers taking product out of the refineries today? Are there products from the refineries going to filling stations? That is the measure Nigerians want to see. So whether we keep saying they will be ready, mechanical completion and all that, these are behind the scene activity. The system, the nation, the citizens will evaluate the availability and the efficiency of these systems when products emerge from those refineries and are seen in filling stations. It's as simple as that.
Like I mentioned at the beginning, I can count the many promises that we've been given, not even from now. I was reading, and of course we're all here when Obasanjo was also president. I mentioned when Obasanjo said that Nigeria's refineries will not work unless we privatize them. It goes to private hands. I'll come back to that later. But the issue here is the promises that have been made over the years, even during Ibekachukwu's time as petroleum minister, I think Minister of State too. He said, okay, this and that. And I remember I interviewed him. Then even when he left, I also interviewed him. I said, you promised us that these refineries will come on board, and yet we have not seen. So Mele Kyari and Heineken Opobri, this is not, their predecessors have been giving us promises. But like you said, until Nigerians begin to see petrol being loaded to our filling stations, then we'll know that these people are working. What exactly is the issue? Why we're having these promises and our refineries are not working? From a technical standpoint, that's one. Then number two, they mentioned something, mechanical completion. In fact, I had to go back, and I remember that the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Timipre, at that time when they were going on tour and all of us, mechanical completion is here. And what exactly is mechanical completion, please?
Thank you.
Questions,
yeah,
yes.
Thank you very much. I start from the later, the mechanical completion.
Okay.
Every process plant, of which refinery is a typical one, has two major engineering design systems. Number one is the mechanical facilities. The iron you see, the physical infrastructure you see, that's one. The second one is the process engineering system. The process engineering system is the engineering design process that ensures that with your projected input, your projected output will be as designed. That's called process engineering system. So when you finish a plant, mechanically, all the bolts have been tied, all the installations have been made, and everything is good to go. That is called mechanical completion. It does not mean that the desired product from that plant will come. Two things will be responsible for ensuring that the desired products will come. Number one, you must charge that plant with the required feedstock.
That's the product in this case.
The crude oil
Crude
in this
oil.
case. In this case, the crude oil.
The crude oil.
If you don't have the crude oil, mechanical completion can be there, you have nothing. So the crude oil must be available and must be streamed regularly in accordance with the design of the plant. When we say a plant is 110,000 barrels per day stream day, it means every blessed day, 110,000 barrels of crude oil must enter that plant. Every blessed day, uninterruptedly. And the process system is efficiently designed to operate 24/7. In other words, it must operate 24 hours non-stop for 7 days of the week. So there's nothing like there's 100,000 barrels today, tomorrow I give you 90, the next day I bring 110, the required capacity. No. The efficiency of that system is predicated on that stream supply of the feedstock, the crude oil. That's number one. Number two, when you supply a crude oil into a process system, the process engineering has determined that, and the complexity of refinery is that a crude one feedstock charge gives you multiple products from the PMS, AGO, ATK, maybe the fuel oil, depending on the configuration. Those are things that are supposed to come out from a single charge of that crude oil. And so, after mechanical completion, you must ensure through the process design that when you put that volume of crude oil, that as you have planned, you are getting so percentage of PMS, you are getting so percent of AGO. Initial plants like the Dangote refinery, when you finish mechanical completion and you charge it, you have to calibrate the refinery. In other words, you have to test whether those yields are as designed, because it's only design you have done. Most times, they may not be exactly the same. I understand that the first stream that came out of Dangote refinery has some shortfall in spec expectation, and it is normal. All you needed to do is now calibrate the stream, tweak the process systems, alter the chemistry a little bit. You must continue to do this process until the yields are out as originally conceived and designed. And so you run it over time, and you are now sure your plant is good to go. And that's when you have full completion of the refinery. So mechanical completion is the facility building, design, the bolts and nuts, the towers installations and all that. But the final completion is the process system engineering audit, ensuring that as projected at your design stage, you are getting all that elements out of the refinery.
So how many completion stages do we have? Sorry, I'm going a bit technical, even though this is not my field, because what I hear you say, mechanical completion is not operational completion, if there's something like that.
Correct.
Do you understand?
Yes.
And not efficiency, now operational.
Yes.
So what will it take for our refineries to be operational? Because now, mechanical, that means all the bolts and nuts and everything, all the pipes and are working according to them. What will it take for those things now to give us operationalization? Because perhaps that's where we are.
Yes, that's where we are.
Okay, so what will it take? And why haven't we seen the operationalization since? Because I'm aware that the mechanical completion has been on since, at least since last year, since we were told by the officials of the government. So how long will it take for us to get operationalization? That's one. Then number two, why do you think that we've not also gotten operationalization? I'm situating this question. I've spoken to a few former NNPC staff too that says why the refineries are not working could also be attributed to budgeted funds do not get to the refineries. That perhaps when they come, situation don't change. Some also attribute it to a bit of hanky-panky and all of that. I also know you have inside information too, if you can give us why operationalization is not feasible.
Thank you very much for that question. My view, based on my experience with the Nigerian refineries, is the fact that the Nigerian systems owned by government is not unique with the refineries. We know how they are all run because they are government owned. And so, like I mentioned in my earlier discussion, the first element that will ensure the operationalization, if I might borrow your word,
is there another word for it? I don't know the word.
No.
That's why
I mean,
said operationalization.
Words are not the issue here. Okay. The issue is the meaning of what you want to hear.
Okay.
The point you're saying is that when would the refinery start working? That's
simple.
all. That's what you're asking for.
Yes.
And if you remember, I said the first thing is this. When you finish your mechanical completion, do you have your crude oil stock fully arranged, planned for the next 30, 60, 90 days, 1 year? Do you have that program in place? Because your plant is supposed to function uninterruptedly. So if you don't have that in place, that's a challenge. Now, to take it to your question, you see, the crude oil, the feedstock to the refineries, whether it's Dangote or whether it's NNPC, is a function of your crude purchase plan. Now, for the NNPC refineries, NNPC has a statutory allocation of crude oil for the refineries. But you must also know that they can only get that when those crude are available. The nation has been battling with shortage in production capacity in crude oil. We are unable to meet our OPEC quota. All these things are part of the challenge. So, the mechanical completion can be ready, but they may not have even gotten a clear line of sight on how the crude will come to the plant continuously. One of the events you must be sure of is the existing refineries currently are charged by pipelines. They are fed by pipelines. And these pipelines, we know most of them are in a great state of disrepair. And so that you have finished the plant and they open the crude oil from you at the crude source, you might lose all the crude oil. They might not get to the plant. So NNPC also need to inform the public whether the feed lines are ready as well. That's number one. Number two, whether the supply of the crude arrangement is also firm and in place. I had said before, and we all know that, the only source of foreign exchange, 80% of foreign exchange earning of the country is from crude oil. So there's a pressure to sell the crude oil to get the FX. Whereas that same crude oil is needed in the refineries. So the policymakers are caught between that. Do we give them to the refineries and not earn FX to run other programs, or do we sell them and starve the refinery? This is the pull and push forces that are affecting the refinery. I know refinery for a long time has suffered from short supply of feedstock. We can say that with all assurance. They haven't had uninterrupted supply of feedstock. That's number one. Number two, when you put the feedstock into the refinery, it's going to be operated by human beings. These are the operators of the refinery. I don't know the state of the employment of the refinery workers since these refineries have been down for the past 4 or 5 years, the Nigerian refinery, the NNPC refineries. And some of the strong hands, well-trained hands in refining, some of them had reached their retirement stage and have exited the system. Have NNPC prepared and trained the substitute staff that will take over the operations? Do they have requisite experience? Have they been tested in refining? These are the elements that will affect the realization of the dream of having smooth flow of product from the refinery.
What do you think is the biggest risk we face in terms of our refineries not taking off? Because you've said a few things here, staffing, adequate, crude supply, which is very essential. Because this industry is about even forward contracts and all
Yes,
of that.
exactly.
And with the optimism of the government now saying that it will do about 2 million barrels per day by the end of this year. What do you think about that? Because that's your, your giggle was a bit, you know.
Madam,
yeah.
I can't but wish the nation the realization of the expectation of 2 million barrels per day, and I call it a wish. To ramp up production capacity of crude oil is a bit of complicated process. If you remember in the last, there are two major challenges. One is lack of investment in recent times to continue to ramp up our production and then rework the existing wells, put them functional. Because when you finish drilling a well and you produce the well, you must have a recurrent budget with which you must continue to improve on the well so that it will continue to give you the yield. Crude oil is pumped from deep down below the ground. And there are other impurities that come in when you are pumping crude oil. You must continuously optimize and decant and remove those impurities. So if you don't have any investment, any budget for these particular processes, you will not get the crude improvement as you would desire. That's number one. Number two, we know the IOCs who have been in charge of ensuring our production capacity over time have divested from most of the land and swamp operations and going to deep offshore. What that means is that Nigerian firms are gradually taking over these places. But do they have the requisite deep pocket to run an operation that is seamless like the IOCs did in the past? That seamless operation will require that they must have a schedule reworking of the wells, and it will happen at that time. Not, oh, the CEO is not around, he has traveled, and so there's no budget for that. This industry is an international industry. Our competitors are not local. Our competitors are international. You mentioned Saudi Aramco. Saudi Aramco is top. Petronas. These are national oil companies, not individual. I'm not talking about IOCs now. I'm talking about national oil companies, and they are efficiently operating.
So with this now, that brings me to the next question of privatization.
Yes.
Because it's also been said in the past that until we give it to private hands like we did for Nitel, like we did now for power, let's give our refineries to private people to manage. With the examples abroad, overseas, what do you think we should do?
Yes, President Olusegun Obasanjo at his time thought very wisely to privatize the refineries and hand it over to Nigerians to take over and operate it. And that policy was reversed by his successor. And then we've been trapped with it. But even from privilege of hindsight, if you ask me, privilege of hindsight, I think there's something fundamental about our belief in science, our people believing that these processes will yield the desired result. We are still laid back. That if I go to the successful privatization you have mentioned, the Nitel privatization, who were the operators that took over? International telecommunication companies, not Nigerian companies. Glo just came later in the line and was forced to fight with these guys. They're talking about power. How are we dealing with the power that only locals have taken over? You need to answer that, madam. How are we dealing with power? Locals took over power. Do we have power? So there's something about us.
So are you saying that, you see, and that was what I raised at the beginning, that when other people are going to the right, we are going to the left, and we are justifying our going to the left that we're a special breed of people. But other countries are doing it well. Saudi Aramco is national. Saudi Aramco just brought out, was it 2.5% of its stake in Saudi Aramco, or was it 5%? And they made trillions of Saudi riyals. They got about, I can't remember, whether $2.5 trillion or so, from just small fraction that they said, come and see, make we just give una a small piece of the pie. And that gave Saudi Arabia money. What's it called? The one in Brazil.
Petrobras.
There's one in Malaysia.
Petrobras.
They are
major
scattered.
Successful corporations.
Government.
Let me give you one example, one other thing that will let you know.
So you're saying that we should hand it over to private people? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm not saying that directly. I just gave you a corollary that it depends on who are these private people.
Even for sovereignty's sake and all of that, shouldn't we handle what is ours?
We should. My own thinking is this. The operators of these systems that are still operating like civil servants, that's where the issues are. Then mental orientation on efficiency and professionalism should be the issue. Because these operators are not trained in no schools. They were trained in the same schools where these foreign operators are trained. But when we come back here, madam, we're even going too far. How many Nigerian companies are building our roads? So these are the issues. And building road is not rocket science, but we don't have any serious Nigerian construction company building our roads.
Is it that because we do not have, or the government do not have political willingness to engage Nigerian contractors? Because
combination of that factor.
Because you're an engineer, we produce many engineers every year in the country. If we begin to give that excuse, when do we now begin to have that expertise to build our own country?
My position
and
is
not
very
be giving the likes of the popular companies. At the end of the day, they change it to dollars. They go to their country.
My own position is
because if they give local contractors, this economy way hard now, no go hard as it be. Because
I agree with you.
money go they circulate. Up to the woman that is selling akara on the street, we get it because monies are in the hands of Nigerians.
I have always said this, that give the projects to Nigerian firms, let them work, let them fail, let them repeat, let them fail.
That's how China got it.
That's how everybody got it.
They didn't come to tell Nigeria to come and do it.
You can't succeed by being aversive, avoiding the errors of failure. You can't succeed. You must try, you must insist. And that's
I know they will say, okay, it comes at a cost. Failure will come at a cost. Now money will expend, but something must give.
But subletting or exporting comes at a greater cost. I listened to Dangote's interview the other day. He made a very powerful speech. He said the target is for the export, and that the export is the extra over local need. And that extra over can be sold at a discount so that it becomes cheaper. He said, he gave an example. He said, go to Samsung in South Korea. What you buy a piece of electronic in Samsung, it's more expensive than what you buy it in Nigeria. The one they are exporting in Nigeria there is lowered, not in quality, but in price. And Dangote said they are exporting poverty and creating employment in their country. That's what they're doing. So when they give you that, they stop you from producing and you become poorer, and they are producing and creating employment in their place. So you must begin to think like this. So as an entrepreneur like Dangote, he has always seen this. The challenge here now is this. For me, government must have a deliberate policy to insist that we do these things, and then we will build and improve as we fail.
Okay. Just as we close, you talked about Dangote, and let's end there. Dangote, like I said, has been talking in the last few weeks. I've never seen him talk like this. He's calling us journalists everywhere to come and speak. Now, the issue is that Dangote also said that the 20% stake of NNPC Limited in his refinery has reduced. NNPC was supposed to pay, I think, $2.76 billion. Now it has 7.2% stake. Were you surprised with that announcement? With that?
No, for me, it's purely economics. He knows their numbers. Madam Nancy, you're a better authority in this. This is a share play thing. You make a share purchase. The value of your share is a function of the value of your investment at that particular time. So, and we know, we don't know how how they invested, whether it's Naira investment. I will know the
dollars.
devaluation that has gone between then and now. Maybe that's how they rated their equity.
And the
I don't
NNPC
know.
GCO said, that it's purely a commercial decision.
That's exactly what I just said here.
So,
it's purely a commercial decision. So they will know why the values came down.
Is it also possible that government does not have so much money again to put into Dangote refinery? So the little money they put, let's just have that percentage.
But that's the point. The government has a limited purse. And they share this purse among so many contending needs.
Okay.
So they can't easily, say, oh, let us put it on all in this place.
Okay.
But I can say this in closing, that there is hope with people like Dangote on stream going through his natural teething problem of a new process plant. The feedstock shortage and all that. He will come through it because the product he needs to buy to put in his plant has been given to people on contract for 1 year, for 2 years. So they won't just cancel contract to give to him.
Okay.
So the contract will have to run out. The government must be conscious and, ready to engage in the sales of the crude oil to Dangote.
Okay. So any headway for our 4 refineries by the end of the year? Quickly, we need to go.
Yeah, I wouldn't, like I said again, it is...
by December, we'll come back here again and
maybe
see.
The authorities have also told us that we'll be ready by December.
Okay,
let's watch and
let's
see.
wait by December.
Thank you very much.
Let's wait till December. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much
for coming.
Thank you.
All right, that means speaking with Engineer Barry Simone, Chief Executive Officer at Crossstream Group. We've been looking at the state of Nigeria's refineries. Like you said, by God's grace, we'll all be here by December. And we'll either see if it works or not. But we wish the country well. Like I always say, be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Nadia. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye now. Hello everyone, I am Nancy Naji, a financial journalist, the anchor of Moneyline with Nancy on AIT. Today I'll be talking about smart savings tips for students.
Great Nigerian student. Very good.
So attention students, hold your ears so that you can say goodbye to financial struggles. Number 1, calculate your income. Know how much money is coming in so that you can set a realistic budget. Number 2, track your spending. Monitor monthly expenses to identify areas for potential savings. Number 3, set financial goals for yourself. Establish short and long-term goals to guide your budgeting efforts. Number 4, compare your income and expenses. Ensure that your income covers your essential needs, adjusting spending accordingly. Number 5, buy second-hand items if you can. And if I know you can, so save money by purchasing used items, especially books that are expensive items for you while in school. Number 6, cook your meals. Cut costs by limiting dining out. Cooking at home is not only economical, but promotes self-care. I'll see you all in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy. Join us on our program on AIT too. Hello everyone, I am Nancy Naji, financial journalist. I'll be talking about common money mistakes to avoid. And number 1, ignoring financial challenges. Tough times, of course, bring discouragement, but don't let it lead you to overlooking financial issues. Make 2024 the year for financial organization. Address and understand your financial concerns. Seek advice from professionals to gain insights and clarity. Number 2, avoid over-concentration in investments. Don't put your investments in one basket. Placing all your financial resources in a single investment or sector poses risk of financial losses. Experts advise diversifying your portfolio across various assets like stocks, bonds, real estate, and more for better risk management. Number 3, neglecting an emergency fund. The lessons we learned in 2020 from the COVID-19 pandemic emphasize the necessity of an emergency fund. It serves as a crucial safety net for unexpected events like job loss or unforeseen medical expenses. Even starting with small contributions can lay the foundation for this essential financial cushion. Number 4, open communication about family finances. Discussing money matters within the family, especially between spouses, is very vital. Understanding each other's approach to money and responses to financial situations foster clarity. So if your husband is the prudent type that knows about investment, he can handle issues about money. If your wife is the same, she can handle issues about money. But joint discussions enable better family financial decisions, including involving grown children, establishing a clear understanding of the family's financial standing. I'll see you all again in the next video. I hope you've learned common money mistakes to avoid in 2024. I'll see you all again. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV. Hello everyone, I am Nancy Najide, anchor of Moneyline with Nancy on AIT. Today I will be talking about January federal government savings bonds. The Debt Management Office has introduced 2 new savings bonds for subscription at 1,000 naira per unit. These are the initial offers for 2024, with one being a 2-year bond set to mature on January 17, 2026 at an interest rate of 11.033% per annum. The other is a 3-year bond maturing on January 17, 2027 with an interest rate of 12.033% per annum. Both bonds are open for subscription. They've been opened from Monday, January 8th, and they will last till Friday, January 12th, with a settlement on January 17th and coupon payment on April 17th, July 17th, October 17th, and January 17th. Investors can subscribe starting from a minimum of 5,000 naira and in multiples of 1,000 naira thereafter, with a maximum subscription of 50 million naira. Interest is paid quarterly and the principal amount is repaid in full upon maturity. These savings bonds, like other federal government securities, are supported by the full faith and credit of the federal government and secured against Nigeria's general assets. What are you waiting for? As little as 5,000 naira, you can invest. Check out your licensed bank or your stockbroker. I'll see you in the next video.